If you're looking to buy a new M3 MacBook Air or looking at the M3 MacBook Pro, but you're just not sure which one to go with, in this video, we're gonna go over all of the key major differences between the two machines, and hopefully it'll help you figure out which one you should buy. Now, before we get into everything, if you end up finding this video useful and you like it, please hit that like button. It would mean a lot to me. And also, if you want to see more videos from me in the future, you can feel free to hit that subscribe button. So for starters, the MacBook Air comes in a 13 and 15-inch size variant, and the MacBook Pro will only come in that 14.2-inch size for the M3 model. Now, the design of each machine is more or less the same, but obviously the MacBook Air is thinner and lighter than the MacBook Pro, hence the name. Now, because of that thinness, the MacBook Air has some key fundamental differences here. For starters, it's going to be a lot quieter because of the fanless design and the passive cooling. However, that could be a bad thing. With the lack of active cooling, could throttle your performance depending on your workflow. If you're really pushing that machine and you don't have the fans to kick on to kind of help keep things cool, then it might throttle the performance down a little bit. Now, the MacBook Pro has a fan for active cooling, and I've never really had the fans ever kick on any of my MacBook Pros, maybe once in a while, and it's very quiet, but it also helps keep things moving. So it's not going to throttle your performance too much or at all. Another major difference is the port situation, especially on the MacBook Air. It's very minimal. You do get your MagSafe for charging, and then you have two USB-C Thunderbolt or /USB 4 ports and a 3.5mm headphone jack on the other side, and that's it. There's nothing else. Now, the MacBook Pro, that offers the same thing. You get the MagSafe port, and then you get the two Thunderbolt /USB 4 ports, but then you also get a HDMI 2.1 and SD card slot, as well as that 3.5mm headphone jack. And so if you're going to be doing some creative work, you want to plug into some external monitors that use HDMI. I mean, there are a couple of other reasons why you would get that MacBook Pro, but the port situation might be a major selling point. Or if you get the MacBook Air, you can always get a third-party accessory like a dock. Now, when it comes to the display, again, you have two different sizes for the MacBook Air. One is 13 and the other is 15, so you have two options. But with the MacBook Pro, for the M3 model specifically, you only have that 14-inch option. So it's kind of right in the middle, and it might be the perfect sweet spot for you. The displays themselves are drastically different though. The MacBook Air has a very nice LCD liquid retina display. It's a standard 60 Hz refresh rate, and you get up to 500 nits of peak brightness. I really do like this display. I think it looks really good, and I think it's more than enough for most people. You do get the notch, and you get slimmer bezels. It's a more modern look than what it was in years past. Now, the MacBook Pro, that offers a mini LED liquid retina XDR display, a 120 Hz refresh rate with ProMotion, and 1000 nits of sustained brightness that can go all the way up to 1600 nits of peak brightness with HDR content. So to sum it up, the MacBook Pro obviously has a much brighter display, a much better display with contrast, deeper blacks thanks to that mini LED display. It's not quite OLED, but it's pretty close in most regards, and so it's actually very good for consuming content and doing a lot of pro work where color accuracy is important. And it's going to feel smoother with that ProMotion for 120 Hz refresh rate. It's just a much better display experience overall, but it might not be necessary for you. If that's something that you do enjoy, then that could also be another major selling point in favor of the M3 MacBook Pro. Now, the content watching experience is also pretty great on the MacBook Pro, again, for all of the reasons that I just listed, but it's not just because of the screen, but the speakers as well. Now, the 13-inch MacBook Air has 4-speaker sound system, while the 15-inch offers 6 speakers and force-canceling woofers. The MacBook Pro has a high-fidelity 6-speaker system and woofers. I do give the sound quality to the MacBook Pro here for sure. The speakers do sound a little bit better than what you get on the 15-inch Air, and definitely compared to the 13-inch. Now, when it comes to mic quality, if you're somebody who does a lot of voice recordings via the internal mic, or more commonly, you take a lot of video calls and it's important to have a good sound setup, well, the new MacBook Air comes with the 3-mic array that does have voice isolation and wide spectrum modes available, but the MacBook Pro does offer the better studio quality 3-mic array, at least according to Apple. It's better on the website. Now, I'm going to do a test here, and I want to know from you what you think in the comments down below between each microphone system. This is a test of the M3 MacBook Pro. The mic quality, let me know in the comments what you think compared to the M3 MacBook Air. In theory, it should be better considering that Apple dubs this as studio quality, but of course, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. And these are the mics on the brand new M3 MacBook Air. So again, let us know in the comments which one you want for your FaceTime, Zoom, Skype calls. Let us know which mics you think are better. When it comes to battery life, the MacBook Air has 18 hours compared to the MacBook Pro offering 22 hours. Now, with that said, I've definitely had some incredible battery life days with the MacBook Air, either the 13-inch or the 15-inch. It's lasted well past the 18-hour time frame that you do get. It really just depends on, of course, what you're doing. If you're consuming content, if you're browsing the web, if you're editing videos like I do, it really just depends. But I've had some really good battery champ days. If you're someone that wants to run two large external monitors with their machines, it's worth noting that both the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro support two external monitors, but only with the lid closed. Now, this is all native, of course. There is third-party software out there that lets you get more than one or two displays available to use at the same time, but just natively, you can only do two large external monitors with the display closed or one large monitor with the display open or the lid open on your MacBook Air or Pro. And lastly, we didn't really talk about performance yet because really performance from the M3 chip standpoint is going to be the same. They both offer the M3 chip for each machine. There are different configurations available for each model, and obviously there are different price points. So the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro can be configured to have an 8-core CPU and then either an 8 or 10-core GPU. And then you can have anywhere from 8 to 24 gigs of RAM and up to 2 terabytes of storage. Now, the main difference really between the two machines when it comes to spec configurations would be that the 13-inch model does offer a lower base model compared to the other machines. You get a 256 gig SSD and 8-core GPU. This is the lowest config available between any of the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro M3 models. Oh, and the MacBook Air does come in silver, space gray, starlight, or midnight, while the MacBook Pro only comes in silver or space gray. And that's it. Those are the main key differences between the MacBook Air and the M3 MacBook Pro. If you wanted my personal recommendation or my thoughts, if you don't think you're going to use your MacBook for a ton of like crazy work, maybe just some light normal tasks, emails, browsing the web, all that nonsense, well, then you could definitely get away with probably the lowest base model 13-inch MacBook Air. And of course, upgrade the specs according to your own workflow. If you think you need more RAM, you're running a lot of applications at once, you can go up to 16 or 24 if you want to. And if you think you're going to download a lot of files and you need more than 256 gigs of storage, you can go all the way up to 2 terabytes, just choose accordingly. Now, personally, if you start poking around that 15-inch MacBook Air territory and start bumping some things up, and you're going to use your, MacBook for more creative, professional work, then I would honestly say take the slight reduction in display size and go for the overall better machine when it comes to that type of work, because you get the better display, you get more ports options available, you get the stronger, thicker build, and the bigger battery. So, of course, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you think? Do you think you're going to pick the M3 MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro? Let me know down in those comments. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.